Yay, now I'm live here. And I don't have any of my banners ready. I can type them out now. Number 5, OSU. What was the score? 26-17, right? Score. Just make sure. Yeah, 26-17. I got it right. There we go. Nebraska. Save that. Show that. All right. It's going to be a briefer post-game show for me. We'll see what kind of people start to tune in if you all want to listen to me yabber on about whatever. I've talked about the whole game on Mark's channel for the watch party. So if you want to watch a replay of that, you can as soon as he ends that stream. Not a pretty win for OSU at all. Ryan Day's still undefeated against Big Ten opponents. Cool beans, bro. But yeah, not a great performance. Wait to see people come into the chat, say hello, talk a little bit about the game, talk a little bit about what this could mean for OSU in the playoff rankings. But painful but successful, as somebody put it on Twitter. That's a good way to describe it. A painful yet successful game where they came away with the victory. 8-1 record. Yeah, 7-1 now. Honestly, not the most. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, it is 8-1. Okay, ESPN just didn't update their record. Okay. Yeah, it really was not an impressive game from OSU. This is one of those times where I'll just be perfectly blunt and just say, like, yeah, OSU was not that impressive today. The offense was inconsistent in the red zone. There were way too many penalties in the second half. And overall, it just turned out to just not be a very enjoyable game from an OSU perspective. I mean, the bright spots in this game for me are Jackson Smith-Njigba and Noah Ruggles. Without Noah Ruggles' 4 field goals, then Ohio State doesn't win. And Jackson Smith-Njigba had one of the best games for an OSU receiver in the history of Ohio State football. 240 yards and 15 catches, which is really impressive as OSU avoided the upset over the Cornhuskers. Nice to see you again, Troy. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. Terrible win, nice to win and all, but that was kind of ugly. You are correct. It was ugly. It was not a pretty game. It was easily the ugliest win of the season. You know, going to Lincoln is always a tough place to go to, of course, but Ohio State really didn't perform well enough. They had a couple good plays there in the second quarter offensively, and then, I mean, they didn't score a touchdown in the second. They didn't score a touchdown in 3 of 4 quarters in this game. Only amassed 2 touchdowns in the game in total, both passing touchdowns. I mean, from a stats perspective, like if you looked at the stats and you didn't see the final score, you'd think to yourself, wow, Ohio State must have absolutely dominated. They had a receiver with 240 yards, and they had a quarterback with 405 touchdown passes. Nope. And like we were saying in the watch party, in the fourth quarter, Ohio State, and even in the third quarter, Ohio State was doing whatever it could to just hand Nebraska the chance to win the game. It was a good game in December. It's about the dub. You get, yeah, and November. Yeah, I mean, it's November right now. It's not December. I get that point of view for sure. It is about pulling away with the wins. Absolutely. I don't think the performance is really going to affect Ohio State in the rankings per se, just based on the way the rankings are now and what we could suspect to happen for the teams that are above OSU in the college football playoff rankings that are about to play. But yeah, it just wasn't the most enjoyable performance, I guess. We have the best deep threat in the country in Olave. Really missed Fields' deep throwing ability. Yeah, for sure, Mike. I get that. Olave, you know, he had a fine game. What did he do today? 7 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. I mean, I would say he's among the best receivers in the country, maybe the best. But today, Jackson Smith-Njigba had a great game, one of the best in OSU history. Noah Ruggles was clutch kicking the ball. And hey, you need clutch kicking because look at what Nebraska did in the third quarter, trying to kick that 31-yard field goal, and they've been 50% this season, and he missed. And then Nebraska was given golden opportunity to try and take the lead when C.J. Stroud threw the ball 60 yards and threw a pick, and then Nebraska ran, drove down the whole field and then just couldn't get anything out of it. Neil is speechless. I'm assuming not in a positive way. Buckeyes offense don't look so potent when they play solid teams. You find that very concerning. I get that. Yeah, that's a little concerning for sure. Not super potent. Again, you don't have to go out there and score 40 points a game. Absolutely. But 33-24 over Penn State, 26-17 over Nebraska. I made this a point last week during the Penn State game. The fact that, a close game like that. It was expected to be close, but at the very least, Ohio State came away with the big plays and had multiple big plays on offense and defense to get the win there. Today, you didn't really see a lot of that. OSU didn't really have a lot of those big game plays that you would expect the team to see where they were able to come away with the win like that. It was just sloppy. And Nebraska had every opportunity in the second half to take the lead in that game, for sure. The red zone offense is not good at all. Absolutely. They had one red zone touchdown today, but outside of that, they're just getting a lot of field goals. Got to be more efficient in the red zone. Might not hurt in the rankings, but it hurts in my mind as I don't know how to rate these guys. They look good against the Little Sisters of the Poor, but look like average to bad against anything else. Yeah, I mean, and if that's something that you care about personally, Troy, then absolutely. If it hurts your mind, you want to know how to rate them compared to the rest of the country for sure. Absolutely, I get that. Yeah, no, the offense was gaining plenty of yards, but not efficient enough in the red zone. Weren't capitalizing on those red zone plays. And at the same time, they just gave away so many penalties in that third quarter. They had a really good drive going, and they were pulled back by 3 penalties. I think 2 holding penalties. Do we drop in the rankings? I don't think so. I don't think OSU drops in the rankings. And my reasoning behind that would be basically because of the fact, let me just pull up the rankings here. The fact that Cincinnati is below OSU to me is already a signal that the College Football Playoff Committee is not really considering Cincinnati unless other teams lose. So I don't see Cincinnati hopping over OSU at all. So that's part of the reason why I don't think OSU drops. I think only OSU would basically be lucky in potentially moving up a spot if, let's say, Michigan State lost or Alabama lost today to LSU. So OSU would still beat Bama. Yeah, I don't know. Tough to predict that. They played 3 competent defenses this year and seem to look very human against all 3. Yeah, Ryan, that's true. They looked human against those 3 defenses for sure. Oregon, Penn State, Nebraska all put up good performances against the Buckeyes. Absolutely. Yeah, 9-point win. The fact that OSU was able to pull away with the win is important. I think when you look at the way that they won this game, they had really good defense in the first half, except for that one play drive that Nebraska scored. Nebraska you kind of see Nebraska as not being the great football team they are. Now they're 3-7. They were given opportunities to potentially win this game and take the lead, and then they didn't capitalize on those. And OSU gave them those chances off of the turnovers. So, yeah, red zone wasn't good enough. What's up, Donovan? How you doing, buddy? Winning ugly. I hope we don't fall too hard in the playoff rankings. They don't honor teams that can't match the point spread. I don't think OSU falls. I mean, who the hell knows? If Oklahoma's 10-0 by the end of this week and the committee's just like, okay, Oklahoma's go back to number 5. OSU, you're going to be 9th. I mean, if it's something random like that, then maybe, but I just don't see that happening. UNC just scored again. Yeah, what's happening in that game? Wow. North Carolina, Wake Forest, 51-48 North Carolina. What a game that is. Minute 22 to go. UNC shutting out Wake Forest in the fourth quarter, 17-0. Wake Forest and could have their season basically blow up in their face here. Like to see Stroud put together a complete game against a decent team. Yeah. I think Stroud was fine. It would be nicer to see him be a little more decisive in those big moments on those third downs. Again, like we've been talking about all season. Run the ball. Sometimes you get to run the ball. The other thing that CJ Stroud never does consistently is in those moments where he's under pressure, doesn't have an open man, and is just like, throw the ball out of bounds. I am not going to lob this ball out of bounds. I'm going to throw it as hard as I can out of bounds so nobody has a chance to catch it. He doesn't do that. There were a lot of moments. Oh, North Carolina, 58-48. There's a lot of moments where CJ Stroud is under that pressure, doesn't have an open man, and he's either trying to still extend the play or he just throws a dink pass that's almost intercepted. CJ Stroud almost threw 3 picks on one drive, and then he ended up throwing a pick. Yeah, give Noah Ruggles the game ball, build him a statue. So, yeah, CJ Stroud's decision-making certainly needs some work. Cincinnati has a win against the top 10 team. We haven't beaten anybody that's currently ranked. Yes, that's correct. That's true. That's a good point, Florida Buckeyes. That might be something to sway Cincinnati getting into that 5th spot. But again, I think the fact that I'm annoyed that Cincinnati is not ranked higher. I think it's annoying that they're not ranked above, Oregon at least, you'd think, because they're undefeated and you'd think Cincinnati's a better football team. But I think the committee showed their cards early and is like, Cincy, you have to earn it, and you also need teams to lose in order to make the playoff. Yeah, Nebraska's a decent team. They're not a terrible team. They didn't take advantage of the situations to try and win the game. They're not a bad football team at all. Absolutely. Yeah, Chris, one thing that Mark brought up during the watch party that I found interesting is that Ryan Day, being the offensive mind that he is, he wants to show off his great passing play schemes rather than, make simple running of the ball. Because when you show off that your passing schemes and plays can work, then it kind of shows off how great of an offensive mind and coach you are, more so than running. I'd like to see more runs. I'd like to see Master Teague and Mayan Williams get a little bit more touches. As great as Travion Henderson is, if you want to mix it up a little bit, give some other guys some chances. Oh, Brian's a Husker fan. All right. Good win. Almost a big victory here, but once again, our coaching staff and offense suck. All right. Interesting perspective as a Nebraska fan. Yeah, the offense didn't capitalize enough. They didn't have enough big plays. Bad kicking as well, I think, is factored in for Nebraska for sure. Yeah, no, the refs were not great. There's a lot of games where the refs are not great. They played too much Tecmo Bowl as a kid. I never played Tecmo Bowl. I'm too young for Tecmo Bowl, unfortunately. I know of Tecmo Bowl. It's not like I'm completely unaware of what Tecmo Bowl is. And yeah, Roger, I agree with you. Stroud needs to run more for sure. 7 losses isn't a decent team. As one coach famously said, we are what our record is. Yeah, we are what our record is. 8-0 compared to 8-1. If Cincy wins today, 9-0. Yeah, I mean, I've said it time and time again. Okay, well, someone basically said the ACC has been eliminated from playoff contention, which means Wake Forest is lost. Yeah, Wake Forest is going to lose to North Carolina. That probably takes the ACC out of the equation officially. 11 a.m. game. Yeah. Tomorrow's going to be so weird with daylight savings. Yeah, the Bo Jackson play. Run up the middle. Just have Travion Henderson turn into Tecmo Bowl Bo Jackson. I wish you would win 100-0 every game. Travion Henderson would always run for touchdowns. So I probably got another about 10, 15 minutes on this post-game show. Since I was on the watch party for 3 hours, we're going to keep it a little bit shorter today. So keep your questions piling in. Keep your comments flying in. Because I do need to eat food. I am human after all. So having 4 tackles on the O-line starting to impact the run game. It could be. The offensive line was not amazing today, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting what fans' perspectives are based on how their season is. I'm not the kind of guy where it's like, oh, Ohio State could be 1-11 and their one win is against Michigan, and I'm happy about the season. I'm not that kind of person, but I get why people would think like that. Oh, Michigan State's already losing. Stop the count. There it is. Purdue's up 7-0. Stop the count. Game's over. Somebody go and create havoc, safe havoc on the field, get the game postponed, and there you go. That's it. Not sure Henderson was 100% today. Yeah, he might have not been. He was a little hobbled. There were a lot of guys that got hobbled during the game. Stroud, I think. Well, Adrian Martinez got hobbled. Smith and Jigbo was hobbled. He carried the receiving core on his back today, essentially. Whew. I got to give my voice a rest. Stop the penalties and the O would be much better. That is all coaching. That is true. Creating discipline in the team. That's the coaches need to help create that discipline in the team. Worst call I've ever seen with 1:50 to go. They had a 1st and 10. Why call a pass play? Okay. Oh, Brian Hartline talked about that tiptoe catch by Fleming and how it was a catch and said that the replay was wrong. Yeah, that was probably a catch. Oh my God, Wake Forest scored. It's 58-55. This is a wild game happening in Chapel Hill. Just from up the end and watching the O-line man taking his time to fall on the ball possibly save the season. Yeah, that fumble was another gift of a chance for Nebraska to try and win the game. Why isn't Egbuka getting some plays? Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to see some other guys get some plays. I'm not sure why. Yeah, nice to see Fleming maybe get involved down the stretch a little bit more, Charlie. You know what? Roger says it right there. As ugly as a win as it was, could be worse. They could have lost. And if OSU loses again, season's over. You guys got that no pass call? Yeah, that's true. Maybe a different game. The refs weren't. Yeah, the refs were not great. A lot of people thought that was pass interference. You think Jackson should take Olave's spot? Nah, I don't think so. There's certainly a case for Smith and Jigba being the number 2 wideout, maybe over Garrett Wilson. There might be something to be said there, but again, you have 3 quality wide receivers that could all be number 1 receivers for any team in the country. There's no excuse why Ohio State shouldn't be obliterating some of these defenses, maybe with their receivers. With how talented they are. That's for sure. So OSU progressing, regressing, or remaining stagnant. Good vocab there. I like the vocab. Take the win and get out of there. Yeah, I see that too. Get out of there. Yeah, take an ugly win any day over an ugly L. Yeah, you want to win, you don't want to lose, as John Madden would so eloquently put it. I think OSU is stagnant. I don't think they're regressing. I think they're stagnant. They're still winning football games. Yes, they've had 2 tough games where they came away with wins. I thought they were much better against Penn State, both offensively and defensively. But I think they're stagnant. I don't think they've done enough to regress. I don't think they've done enough to progress either. One of these days, I'll go to a game in Lincoln. Yeah, Lincoln would be a fun place to go to. Yeah, in terms of Big Ten, I've only been to the Shoe and I've been to Memorial Stadium. Those are the only places I've been to for a college football game in the Big Ten. I think those are the only places I've ever been to a college football game, period. I'd love to go to a game at like the Big House. A game in Nebraska would be fun. A game at University Park at Penn State would surely be an experience. Absolutely. Let's see, P-Berry's got a long one. How many times did we have a chance to put Nebraska away and no one wants to make a play on offense? The O-line once again looked bad, but as Henderson hit the freshman wall, we will lose playing this way. Yeah, they might. We'll see how Purdue does against Michigan State. That might give OSU fans a clue in as to what that game could be like. Purdue comes away with a win and looks good doing it, then that game is certainly going to look a little bit closer. I think the spread might be a little bit different. Yeah, Tyreek Smith and Zach are looking real good. I think our defense has gotten better, but our offense is definitely stagnant. I think that's right, Ryan. I would agree with that. Great on the stagnation. Have they added any new wrinkles to their offense recently? I mean, the red zone is basically the big thing. The fact that the red zone offense has regressed. I think that is a fair statement to say. I also would like maybe some more touches for different running backs. Travion Henderson's a great player for sure, but I think we need to give Master Teague and Mayan Williams some opportunities. Yeah. Yeah, no, literally. If Noah Ruggles isn't perfect on his 4 field goals, OSU loses this game. You could say that. That is a true statement. And yeah, won the game. Every fan's different. Every person's different. Some people just want to take the win, and you know what? Take the win. Other people want to dissect the win and find the flaws in it. Whatever works for you. Float by your own boat. That's what I say. Well, Minnesota's not rowing the boat today because Illinois beat Minnesota. Who would have saw that coming? You've been to the Shoe but never got a chance to go for a game? Yeah, I went to 2 OSU games as a fan, and then I've been in the press box at the Horseshoe when I was in college covering Illinois. Because I'm from Columbus. I came home for Thanksgiving break. OSU was hosting Illinois right before Thanksgiving, so I covered that game. OSU won 52-14 in the rain, but that was a fun experience being in the press box in the Horseshoe. It is massive. We have to get some semblance of a running game or we will lose at least one more. Yeah, I think more consistency in the running game or just having a little bit of variation because Travion Henderson seemingly can't really do everything. Only OSU game I've ever seen was against Northwestern decades ago. It was a fun time. Northwestern would be cool. I think youth cohesion and motivation are also issues. Yeah, no, you definitely need chemistry. There is something to be said about a team having chemistry. I don't know why I can't show any freaking chats anymore. There we go. My thing was frozen. Yeah, I think there's something to be said about cohesion and chemistry. I think that makes a team better. I think that's the case with really any sport. You need to be on the same page. And yeah, maybe motivation. That's the thing. Motivation is tough. It's hard to quantify and it's hard to determine motivation when you're not in the locker room. Folks, you didn't get off the bus, they lose the game. Yeah, penalties is not good. See, penalties is something that you can be like, yeah, that needs to be fixed. You need to be more disciplined. All right, North Carolina beat Wake Forest. Wake Forest is done. They lose. Okay, Francisco thinks OSU is going to lose to the Wolverines or the Spartans. Very possible. I think it's definitely something there. Both Michigan's teams' defenses are average. I haven't been to the shoe since Chris Spielman played. Wow. Yeah, I went to the shoe. I went to a Penn State game there and a Rutgers game there. Those are the two games I've been to, and they were both in like the mid-2010s. CJ has to, okay, you mean CJ, obviously, has to learn to run instead of throwing INT. So there's a lot to learn. Stop at the INT. You must get tougher. Yeah, better decision-making on some of those deeper throws. When he's under pressure and there's no open man, sometimes you just got to take the L and just be like, all right, let me just throw the ball out of bounds or let me just take the sack. You know, the one quarterback that comes to mind you think of who would never let a play be given up on is Brett Favre. Brett Favre would never just take a sack or throw the ball out of bounds. If he had an opportunity to extend a play, there you go. Yeah, you know what? I agree that there's a good thing to having struggle games. You learn a little bit more about the team. You develop more adversity, make yourself tougher for bigger games ahead, for sure. Because, you see teams all the time cakewalk through a season and then they play somebody who's really, really good and then they get absolutely obliterated. Early 80s visit to the shoe. Wow. This game could have been a little bit of a letdown game. Penn State is like a rival and think there was some hangover effect going on. Potentially, yeah. You could have had some hangover from the game, maybe a lack of focus, saw more penalties. That's true. Time is at 4:05. All right, I'm sorry to have to cut it off early, but it's been a long afternoon. I'm gonna have to go, guys. I really enjoyed our short conversation here. If you don't know, I was with Mark during the watch party on his channel. It was on this channel too. So, but I will be back in full for OSU and Purdue next week. We'll see what kind of a game that's going to be. I'm going to go, and I think I might just eat and rest for the day. I don't get throwing so much. Yeah. It was a great conversation, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Enjoy that extra hour of sleep tonight. OSU's 8-1. Beat Nebraska in a slightly ugly game. But there you go. So win in the books. Have a good night, guys. Good night. It's 4:00. What am I talking about? That probably means I need to take a nap. I might go do that. I might go take a nap. See you guys.